This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
With Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire, I'm Chuck Heinz. All right, yesterday in Fayetteville, Arkansas, Lady Raiders win. Jamie 75-72. Really got themselves to the free throw line in the second half as they went 17 of 19 from the free throw line, finish up 21 of 25, and were able to take the ball inside in the second half especially and outscored them in the paint 42-30 to get their first win in Arkansas in history. You had lost your last 12, and it had been, you played them in 16, played them in an NIT game in 23, and then before that it had been quite some time. But still, you get a win. You get a road win, and you get a win that kind of felt like a Big 12 game yesterday, Jimmy.
Yeah, no, it was a close game, and Lady Raiders had pushed out to a double-digit lead early on in the game, and Arkansas fought back, and they didn't go away at all, as you'd expect a team to do at home. What I liked yesterday is it just felt like you had more girls contributing. In recent times you'd had 2 and maybe 3 players get to double figures, but you actually got a good contribution off the bench from Maya Pete. That's really the first time she's feel like impacted a game much at all, and she was solid for you last night, scoring in double figures, had a couple big passes late in the game, and Bailey Maupin getting her shot back, which was really nice to see. Yep. Clearly she's really, really important to what you're doing on offense, and for her to put up 25 after she's really been struggling of late. Maybe that fourth quarter on Wednesday got her kick-started again, because she had 3 threes in that fourth quarter on Wednesday and played really well yesterday. Yeah,
she played 36 minutes, 25, had 5 rebounds, and drew also 6 fouls for the Lady Raiders and hit her free throws. She was 9 of 12 from the free throw line. Shavers had 18, was 8 of 8 from the free throw line. But, when you look at what Maya Pete did in almost 14 minutes of play, 10 points, but also 3 assists in the ball game, and she had a steal as well. And then, you also look at what Danae Fritz did, and just in taking care of the basketball yesterday and kind of directing things for the Lady Raiders. She played 25 minutes, and her plus-minus was the highest of anybody. It was 18. But then you get 10 points from Kyla Freelon. She had 5 rebounds, 3 big offensive rebounds for Texas Tech, and then Jalen Bristow off the bench with 7. So, yeah, it was a good, nice team win yesterday. You only shot 1 3 in the second half.
It's interesting.
Well, it was about, I think what you had to do was drive inside. Arkansas was a team that would give up a lot of points in the paint. And then they knew if they could get to the free throw line, and then once they started hitting them, then, man, you just kind of felt like they had a lot of things going their way. But, Tech in the first quarter was just 3 of 4 from the free throw line, 1 of 2 in the second quarter, and they made a decision in the second half to go at them and get in the paint, get fouled, get to the free throw line, make them, and move on. And that worked well for them yesterday. So Arkansas did have a player with a double-double, Vera Ojenyua. She was at 12 and 11. She was tough inside. She played 33 minutes, drew 5 fouls. And then they had this. I'll tell you what, this girl's a really good player, Izzy Higginbottom. She is 4th in the country in points scored, 2nd in free throws made. She had 14 of her 26 in the fourth quarter. So
big.
Yeah. So like what we saw with the big point score from SMU, the second half score, and Florida State as well. I mean, you've faced some individual players who have put up big points, so far this year, and you've been able to sustain them or contain them for periods of time so that they, at the end of the day, the Florida State and SMU games were losses, but you had opportunities to win. The other thing that was really wild about yesterday was you didn't hit a field goal in the last 4:06. So the last time you hit a field goal, I think it was Jazz Shaver's shot that put you up, I believe, 70-60.
But you got some big defensive stops down the stretch, and that was important. Yeah,
absolutely.
So, after the game was over yesterday, it kind of sent me wondering, okay, how good of a win is this? It felt like the team played pretty well. I feel like you're doing a better job, at least this week, of taking care of the basketball and those kind of things. Then, so I went and looked at the Arkansas schedule, and they're 6-6 now on the year. They have their losses include Fairfield. They lost to UCLA by 49. They lost to Oral Roberts by 21 at home. Lost to Oklahoma State by 14 at home. So just some of those that kind of show you where, comparing it to like the Oklahoma State thing, and UCLA is a top 5 team, so they're beating a lot of teams badly. But it's a good road win. I mean, again, not a lot of teams play a lot of road games in this time of the year, and I applaud the Lady Raiders for going back to back this week with SMU and Arkansas, and you found a way to get a W against an SEC team on the road, and I think that's good stuff. Those are positive steps, and hopefully something the team can build on.
Yeah, and I think it's a confidence builder going into Big 12 play and all those things, and I think too just having a healthy Kyla Freelon. She played 29 minutes. I think that's the most that she's played, and she started yesterday as well. She's just so athletic and has the ability to get some big rebounds for you, and she played with a purpose yesterday, and Maya Pete played with a purpose yesterday too, and she's been struggling with a little bit of a back injury or a back situation, maybe not injury but more situation, but man, you need her to be physical, and she was physical. She was not afraid to put her body in the paint and put it into her opponent and bounce off of her and get shots off the glass. So would still like to see the 3-ball be a little bit better. You were 2 of 11, but once they recognized it wasn't going in, they got away from it.
Yeah.
So and then did what they felt like they could do against Arkansas, and that was drive against them. But yeah, it was a good road victory for them. And they'll be back in action tomorrow. They take on Lamar. And then Sunday, it's Big 12 play, and then they'll have a little bit of a break until January the 1st when they take on Arizona State out in Tempe. So it is almost here, the conference basketball season for both the men and the women. Men play tonight. They take on Oral Roberts. We'll have it at 6, play-by-play at 7. We'll continue that discussion. This Day in Sports History is next.
The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Today is Monday, December the 16th, 2024. Here is Jeff McGuire with This Day in Sports History.
Famous day. Famous day. And if you don't know what makes today famous, you're going to find out coming up later.
Oh, wow.
But this is famous day.
Okay.
1926, however, is where we will start. Major League Baseball's owners renew contract with Commissioner Kennesaw Mountain Landis for a second 7-year term as baseball commissioner. 1945, National Football League Championship took place at Cleveland Stadium. The Rams beat the Redskins 15-14, the last game before the Rams would move west to Los Angeles. 1972, Miami Dolphins become the first undefeated NFL team during the regular season at 14-0. A year later, O.J. Simpson becomes the first NFL running back to rush for 2,000 yards in a season. 1983, Yogi Berra named the New York Yankees manager for the second time.
It wouldn't last.
It wouldn't, but, they like going back to the well. 2006, big day. Bob Knight moved within one win of Dean Smith's Division I coaching record when Texas Tech went on an early 18-0 run en route to a 71-56 victory over Arkansas.
Oh, how about that?
2013, the 79th Heisman Trophy Award went to Jameis Winston out of Florida State. And in 2015, Todrick Gocher registered 11 of his team-leading 17 points during the second half and has reached double figures in 6 of his last 7 outings as the Texas Tech Red Raiders top South Dakota State 79-67. today is a good day for food because there's no wrong answer. Happy National Chocolate Covered Anything Day. Chocolate covered raisins, almonds, peanuts, anything. Benjamin Bratt, 61. William, the refrigerator Perry, 62. And Billy Ripken is 60. And on this day, 1773, in Boston Harbor, a group of Massachusetts colonists disguised as Mohawk Indians board 3 tea ships and dump 342 chests of tea into the harbor. Of course, this is the Boston Tea Party. Midnight Raid, properly known as the Boston Tea Party, it was in protest of the British Parliament's Tea Act of 1773, a bill designed to save the faltering East India Company by greatly lowering its tea tax and granting a virtual monopoly on the Americans' tea trade. The low tax allowed the East India Company to undercut even tea smugglers. That's right. People who were doing it illegally couldn't do it as cheap as the tea company could. Many colonists viewed the act as another example of taxation tyranny. The British tea dumped into the Boston Harbor on that night of December 16th was worth nearly $2 million today. That's a lot of tea in the harbor. It's a lot of tea. Maybe that's why we drink coffee here. And that is This Day in Sports History.
All right, it is 6:48 this morning here on the Morning Drive. Thanks for being with us today. Yates Flooring Center chat line is open. Go to WT973.com for that, or the mobile app. The Visual Edge IT hotline is open too at 806-771-0973. What did you make of the Cowboys yesterday? Rico Dowdle, man, he ran like a banshee yesterday.
Yeah, and that's a Panthers team that's been playing well of late and really challenging some teams. So the Cowboys, that was a nice win for Dallas. I'm really on all sides of the ball. Just solid.
Cooper Rush went 18 of 29, 214 yards, 3 touchdowns. Dowdle, as I mentioned, ran for 25 times, 149 yards, averaged 6 yards a tote. Even Zeke Elliott got in the ball game. He'd been kind of missing in action.
That's exciting.
Yeah, right. Nine carries for 30 yards for Mr. Elliott. And then CeeDee Lamb, 9 receptions, 116 yards, and a touchdown. So good for him. The only thing that kind of didn't go the way that they wanted it to go, Brandon Aubrey had a chance to kick a 70-yard field goal, and he missed wide left.
70.
Mm-hmm. They let him kick a 70-yard field goal, but it didn't go through the goalpost. That's too bad because he's got the leg to do that.
Yes, he does. I mean, he almost shocked no matter what every time he misses. I mean, when he misses. No, I don't care if they line him up from the opposing 20. I mean, it's just he's so good that you just expect it's going.
So the Cowboys are now 6-8. I was watching a little bit of the NFL on Fox yesterday, and Jimmy Johnson was asked about the Cowboys, and I thought of Jeff immediately because he picked them to lose so that they could improve their draft choice.
Well,
but that didn't happen. No, it did not happen. But I was like,
and their draft choice got worse.
And their draft choice got worse. I was like,
well, I mean, I think we can respect that guys go out there and play hard and try to win, no matter what.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'm not like crying about it, but so it did, in fact, get worse.
It's a tough end of the season for the Cowboys in terms of who they're playing. They have a Sunday
tough
night
beginning too. If you weren't there,
well, yeah, no question. But I mean, they finished at home with Tampa Bay. This will be their last home game of the season, and then. Excuse me, it's not. They finish with Tampa Bay at home, then at Philly on the 29th, and then they'll have a home game against Washington, which is a time to be determined on for Week 18 of the NFL. So best they can finish at this point is 9-8. But man, Tampa Bay at Philly and Washington at home. Those are all 3 playoff teams that are going to be really tough to beat. At least I think they're going to be playoff teams. You know,
looks like it.
It looks like they're going to be playoff teams. Washington won again yesterday, and the Philly Buffalo game. No, Philly's played the Lions. I mean Bills played the Lions. That was an offensive game, Jamie.
It was. It was.
An offensive game. Is Josh Allen the MVP?
I think he's got a good chance.
I do too.
Feels like he's the favorite at this point.
Yeah. I think Joe Burrow is making a case for himself, but his team is not very good. The Eagles beat the Steelers yesterday, 27-13. Another good team. Steelers had a tough
good game.
Steelers had a tough start to things, but they're going to be a playoff team. It looks like. Buccaneers beat the Chargers.
Yeah, they've already clinched their division. So
40-17, Tampa Bay over the LA Chargers. I guess the thing that surprised me there is the score differential.
Yeah, I was surprised by that. Not necessarily the outcome, but the differential. Yes, definitely.
Yeah,
because I think the Chargers are a pretty good team.
So Buffalo has clinched the East. And Pittsburgh at least has clinched a playoff spot.
Yeah.
And the Houston Texans at 9-5 clinched the South yesterday, the AFC South.
Yeah, Houston's in the same boat as Buffalo, and the division is pretty rough. Yeah. And the Steelers, who haven't clinched their division, are a really good team, but they just have only clinched a spot because their division it's good behind them. Baltimore is in there.
Same thing with Detroit. They've clinched a spot, but they lead. They have Minnesota and Green Bay kind of right at their heels.
I feel like we've slept on Minnesota a little bit. If they win tonight, or do they play tonight? No. They're just a half game behind, right?
Yeah.
They're 11-2.
Yes, they're
half
11-2.
Game behind the Lions.
Right.
And yeah, feels like we've kind of slept on it. I know they got off to a great start, and then they lost a few games, and I feel like everybody just kind of gave up on them, but. Yeah, they look like they can play.
So it's a duel Monday Night Football game tonight.
Oh, that's right, they do. That's right, they do play.
Minnesota plays host to Chicago at 7, that kick, and then the Raiders entertain the Falcons at 7:30, and the Falcons really disappointing at 6 and 7.
Your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Hey, if I didn't know better, I feel like we have a novelty Christmas music theme this morning.
I'm just playing ones we haven't played yet.
Right.
There's a large, group of Christmas songs we haven't played.
Yeah.
And, sprinkling them in and getting to some of these. And notice there's one we haven't played. One very specific one that we have not played on this show.
Is there
We're all tired of it.
Okay.
Mariah Carey. You haven't heard it yet. Not on this program.
Well,
because any store you walk into is playing it 4 times before you leave. That's why I haven't played it yet.
Maybe we'd like to hear it.
Seems like a bit of an exaggeration there.
Right. Do I want to hear Mariah Carey or I want a hippopotamus for Christmas? I think I'd rather hear Mariah Carey.
Then you are free to go shopping at any one of our wonderful advertisers, and I guarantee one of them is playing it right now.
Wow. And if you banned this song from our fine radio station?
Not banned, just drastically delayed.
Drastically
I'll play
delayed.
the Hanukkah song 50 times before I play it once.
Wow.
Well, Hanukkah song is way better.
See? This is all I'm saying.
I don't know. If I had my choice, I'd take the Mariah Carey. Anything by Mariah Carey I'd take. So 7:17 this morning here on the Morning Drive. We'll have Red Raider basketball on the air for you tonight to take on Oral Roberts at United Supermarkets Arena. Here is Coach Grant McCasland with a report on Oral Roberts.
Yeah, well, the biggest thing to me is they've got McBride back, who causes a lot of problems. Anytime you have a point of attack in the middle of the floor that can make threes, get to the foul line, and create, they're changing defenses, and I don't think they've played close to their best basketball. And they've got a lot of roster turnover, too. I think they got hit with the transfer portal and people leaving and transferring up just as much as anybody has. So I don't think anybody's seen their best shot yet. And we've really got to be great defensively and making sure we guard the ball in the middle of the floor, which has not been our strength.
Isaac McBride averages 16.3 points a ball game. Sam Alajiki, you'll see him as well. He averages 13.7. And then one other in double figures, Darius Robinson, He averages 10.1 points a game. He primarily comes off the bench. McBride has started all 10 for him. So is Jalen Miller and Josh Jones, but they're in the middle sixes in terms of points per ball game. But yeah, this is a team that has not played very well. They've lost 5 of their last 6, and they're coming off of a 16-point beat down to Idaho State. It was at Idaho State, but still. I don't know how raucous the crowd was because the attendance was 1,072 that day.
Okay.
So can't be, can't have been, can't have been that raucous. That's a long ways to go for a ball game. Idaho State.
It is.
I mean, he would have thought that they would have coupled that in there with somebody else along those lines. As I mentioned earlier, they have played at Ole Miss. They lost there, 100-68. They lost to Tulsa. That had to hurt, 85-76. You'd think that those two would be
bit of rivals there.
A bit of crosstown rivals. Yeah, right. And then they lost at Minnesota to open up the season, 80-57. So I hope, because we haven't really seen this yet. I mean, and look, I understand why, because you look at the teams you've played. I know what they're listing attendance-wise, from our home games. But I hope we have a good crowd tonight. I don't know that it'll be a great crowd, but I hope we have a good crowd tonight.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. I hope the crowd is fantastic. I would tell you I am at a point of this non-conference season where I am dying to get to Big 12 play. Okay. Because, us breaking down a 3-7 or whatever they are team.
They're 3-7, yeah, that's correct.
Is to play here in a game that we've Chuck's, wanting a great crowd. I get it. In a game that we expect to win by 25-30.
Should win by 25 or 30.
Yeah. I mean, it's just not fun.
Yeah.
I hope our fans are great and show out. And I mean, like the Lady Raider game yesterday, that was interesting. Okay, that was a game we didn't know if you were going to win. Say the same thing on Wednesday night. Okay, you didn't know if you were going to win. That's what makes sports fun. When you know you're going to win by 30 going into a game, it doesn't make it fun. I get why you play them. I understand. You got to get your team ready, all the above. Okay, but it's boring. It's boring. And so I'm not going to criticize our fans for not showing up. No, I hope they do. I hope they do. I hope it's 100% about the Red Raiders. They're there to see the Red Raiders and have a good time and eat some nachos and cheer on the team with the rest of the fans. I hope it's great. I hope it's packed. All the above. Okay? I'm not telling anybody not to go. I'm just saying I'm excited to get to Big 12 play. Sure. I think it's going to be awesome. I think it's going to be totally entertaining. I think it's going to be a blast. I think the crowd's going to be awesome. The atmosphere is going to be fantastic every night here and most of the time on the road too. And right now, breaking down Oral Roberts makes me want to throw my head up against a wall.
Well, don't do that because we need you at 8 o'clock. Okay, so we need you back here.
7:30. What about
we need him at 7:30
too? We need you at 7:30 too.
and it's 7:45 and
right.
7:15.
We need you.
What's going on at 8 o'clock?
I don't know. Just felt like
I mean,
you could survive 7:30.
You can kind of get past that part, right, where you're like at the beginning of the year, like we're just excited to see basketball again, right? We're excited to see it. We're anxious to see it, and so even though there's some bad teams, okay. Oh no, we got some Thanksgiving tournament coming with some real teams that have a pulse. Okay, that was good, and then we got to the A&M game. We were all excited for that. There's a rivalry involved, and now we're back to this, and it's just like, can we advance to? What is it?
New Year's Eve.
Yeah, right.
New Year's Eve.
Can we just skip ahead?
1 o'clock tip.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure Coach McCasland's like, man, we got a lot to work on before
I'm sure that's what he would say. I'm sure.
And I'd prefer not to skip Christmas.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, because, I think Coach McCasland would like to have some practice.
I think it's like, maybe it's just like this feeling of the last week or so is like one of the worst probably weeks of the year in sports. I mean, the Saturday with Army-Navy was good, but there's not a bunch of college football games on, right? Okay, I'm not an NBA guy. Our Red Raiders didn't play for a week. Lady Raiders gave us 2 games. I mean, the whole entire athletic department only played 2 sporting events this week, and it's got to be one of the least of the year when school's in session.
I would think so, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so it's just kind of like this slow time that we're all looking ahead to college football playoff games. We're all looking ahead to Big 12 basketball games that matter. And we're anxious for something. We didn't get a lot of college football last weekend. We got plenty of NFL over the weekend, and then you get a 3-7 ORU team.
Well, I'll tell you.
Let's go sports.
The Lady Raiders made it interesting down the stretch last night. I mean,
they did.
Goodness gracious. I mean,
but even without, it was a game going into it that you didn't know who was going to win. That's what makes sports fun.
No, there's no doubt.
It's boring when even when it's your team that is going to win by 25 or 30. That's boring.
It got a little too interesting. With 5 seconds to go in the game, Lady Raiders had the ball in front of their own bench, and Jada Wynn threw a ball that I don't think it was designed for that play, and it goes out of bounds. She was trying to get it to Bailey Maupin over in the corner, and then Arkansas calls timeout, and they advance it, and Kiki Smith, who's one of their better shooters, misses a three-pointer at the buzzer, and it was like, when that ball went in the air, I'm like, oh my God, we're going overtime. It was like when it
was a good look
when it was off the shot, and I was like, oh wow, we won. When you haven't experienced that many road wins, it's like, okay, whoa, hey, that's a win. Those are happy totals coming their way for the Lady Raiders. So they win it last night. They go to 10-2 on the season, and they'll play tomorrow against Lamar. All right. It is 7:25. Jamie's question of the day. He did survive his head butt against the wall, and he will have the question of the day next.
This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Jamie's question of the day on Double T 97.3 is brought to you by Connecticut of West Texas.
All right, guys. Two-parter, but I think pretty simple. We're going to talk Red Raider men's basketball today, and I want you to tell me what your biggest positive surprise is so far with the Red Raiders, and maybe the biggest disappointment so far with the Red Raiders.
Well, I think sometimes this doesn't happen in sports, whether it's football, baseball, basketball, professional or college, but I think JT Toppin has exceeded my expectations, at least the early portion of this season. I mean, averaging a double-double and 18.6 and 11 rebounds, and I know you paid him a lot of money to come here and had high expectations, but I think he's met those expectations, and that doesn't always happen. For me, the disappointment is that, and this is low-hanging fruit, but Devin Cambridge deciding to quit the team and not carve out a role for himself or understand that there's going to be a role for himself. And I don't know all the dynamics and what went into his decision, but I'm disappointed that he's not here.
I'm going to do reverse order because it's a little easier. You're still not a good rebounding team. And some of that is possibly still being worked on, and some of that is coaching, and some of that is want to. I expected more out of that from the offseason to this season with regards to what guys were going to be going, what McCasland and his crew were going to be going after last year. So I'm surprised that that's still as much of an issue as it is. JT's the low-hanging fruit in this, but I will say that I've been pleasantly surprised on how effective your offense can be at times. Like, I don't feel like this team has the 6-minute drought runs that you've seen from other Red Raider basketball teams, if that makes sense. Like, they're going to figure out a way to put some points on the board to break some of those streaks up.
Okay. I will tell you, if I'm being 100% honest, that my answers were exactly as Chuck's. And I thought he said it really well. So I thought Toppin was going to be good. I didn't think he was going to be this good. I've been really impressed with him. And I'm really surprised that Devin Cambridge decided to leave the team, partly because of just didn't seem like that was him, partly because I'm shocked that he's leaving that much money on the table. So that's both of those things were surprising to me. But I'll give different answers because there are other things that have surprised me as well. Number one, Kevin Overton has been a much bigger factor than I thought he would be. Really like his game. He's almost scoring 12 points a game so far this year. Thought he would be a solid off-the-bench kind of guy for you. But he looks like if given the opportunity, he could be a go-to scorer at times. And so I've been really impressed with him. Elijah Hawkins, watching the first game of the season that he played, obviously he missed the first couple, thought, man, this guy is going to be a star for us. And I'm not saying that he's not. He still does a lot of things that I like. But there's also a few things where he's not as positive with, and that's his defense, and I don't think he's done a great job taking care of the basketball so far this year. So I feel like he's a better player than he has shown so far, and so I'm a little bit disappointed that hasn't come to fruition so far.
I'm curious one thing on the Hawkins line, and maybe it's just that maybe these have come in spurts that are more kind of on the top of your, but he has 38 assists and 18 turnovers. Mm-hmm. So it's almost 2-to-1 here. In fact, it is 2-to-1.
More than 2-to-1.
Yeah, it's more than, and he has 15 steals. Has it just been some at times not taking care of the ball that you think, or
I think the bigger issue is really his defense.
Okay.
Yeah, but yes, the turnover. I mean, again, level of competition's not been super high.
No, I understand that. Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
And I would tell you this in general. Although the A&M game was not part of this, in general, I thought you've been, as a team, doing a pretty good job of taking care of the ball, given the number of newcomers.
Yeah, he had 6 in that game. 6 of his 18 were right there in that game.
Yeah, so a third of them.
And then Darion Williams had 5 in that game.
Yeah.
That's 11 of the 18 you had in the contest. So I think you have been a team that's taking care of the basketball. I still, as I've said all season long, I've been super impressed with the way you share the ball. Mm-hmm. And that's a sign of a team that's together and not selfish and all the above, which I think is going to lead to good things in the future for this squad. But it was just that one game where we really struggled.
Yeah. And then I think you've shot the ball pretty well, especially from beyond the arc. Although there have been a couple games when that hasn't gone.
Yeah, you shot the ball amazing at home.
Yeah.
Just away from Lubbock, you haven't shot it great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you're over at 40% for the season as a team.
Mm-hmm.
That's impressive.
Yeah, making about 10 threes a ball game. But as this competition starts to ratchet up, it'll be interesting to see how that.
And you have to play away from Lubbock.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how that goes. And you've had just 2 people foul out this year, so you haven't given up. Giving that up too much as well. So, anyway, we'll see what happens tonight. I don't know if you're going to learn anything unless JT Toppin plays tonight. That may be the big thing you learn the most, more than anything else tonight, with taking on Oral Roberts. All right, so look forward to that this evening as we get ready for that. High School Fan Zone tonight. We'll have that at 6. On 100.7 The Score. All the coaches coming in tonight to speak to Randy Rosetta, and then we'll have Monday Night Football, the game that we're carrying. There's 2 of them tonight. We're going to carry the Falcons and the Raiders tonight from Vegas. Okay, so that'll be at 7:30 this evening. And then we're going to have our first Friendship Girls basketball game on the air tomorrow, Jamie, as they take on Seminole. And that'll be at the Tiger Pit. That'll be at 6 o'clock. Tomorrow evening. So look forward to that. And then a bowl game tomorrow night, the Frisco Bowl. Boy, I'm glad the Red Raiders aren't playing in that thing.
What's wrong with the Frisco Bowl?
Nothing. It's just,
I wouldn't hate the Frisco Bowl nearly as much as I would hate the one in Dallas or Fort Worth.
Okay. Well, I would have gotten it out of the way, I guess. But I guess. Somebody said off the Yates Flooring Center chat line, Christian Anderson is definitely a positive surprise. Okay?
I completely agree.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's been a good hand for you.
Your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Morning Drive. Thank you for being with us today. Yates Flooring Center chat line is open. We come to you from the First United Bank studio. Visual Edge IT hotline is open. This person took a long time to write this, so I feel like I should read it, and then I've got a comment about it. Jeff and Jamie, working with Chuck every day, you can help answer this question. Why did I listen to Chuck? Am I dumb? When Harrison Butker got hurt, I saw insiders say he'll be out about a month. Chuck comes on saying he'll be out the rest of the regular season, maybe back by the playoffs. I even messaged in saying I thought he was only out a month. Chuck said it's a month before he starts kicking again, so I dropped him from my fantasy team. Okay, there's where your problem is. Well, lo and behold, a month passes and Butker is back. It didn't hurt me yesterday, but I feel like it will hurt me in the playoffs. Again, why did I think Chuck was in the know on that, saying he'd be out twice as long as everyone said? Shaking my head, I can only blame myself. Right. You can only blame yourself. And the fact that you're just worried about your fantasy team versus a regular team disturbs me. I only worry about my team, our teams. And with regard to Mr. Butker, I thought he was going to be out a little bit longer. Anytime somebody has knee surgery, you never know how they're going to come back. And plus, the guys that they brought in were doing pretty good. He did not kick off yesterday. They used the other guy, the safety, again, to the defensive guy to kick off. But at any rate, the fact that you're just worried about your fantasy team really says all I need to know.
He's not only worried about his fantasy team, he's just worried about his fantasy team. He could be very much worried about his NFL team, and it could be your St. Kansas City Chiefs. So be nice to him on that.
Well,
yeah, I think you kind of jump to conclusions there.
Well,
I mean,
that's kind of what I do generally.
First and foremost, I think you're 100% right in that this is really a big deal to him because it's about fantasy football.
Yeah.
Okay. But you have no idea whether he's also not worried about his real team or not.
Sure.
Okay. Or even if he has a real team or not.
Right. Yeah. My guess is
he
no.
may be devastated that, the Jags dropped another one yesterday. We don't know.
So be nice.
Somebody else says this. Yes, first rule in life, never listen to Chuck, ever, under absolutely no circumstances. Wow.
Well, don't listen or just don't, make bets based on what he says.
Yeah.
I mean, please listen to Chuck.
Yeah, we want you to listen.
Yeah, because, then you can't hear Jeff and I if you don't listen to Chuck. I mean, we're part of the deal, right?
Yeah, you guys are the
package deal.
Well, you're the common sense portion of the cookie. Jeff and I are
sometimes, not always.
Jeff and I are the... out of bounds, over the top, blah, blah, blah. Anyway. I thought, with as much time as he took to write in, I had to at least address it.
To answer his question, why does he listen to Chuck? Mm-hmm. Because he's the host of the Morning Drive and he's fun to listen to. That's why you listen.
That was kind of you.
Why did you take advice from Chuck on fantasy football? That I can't help you. But in fairness... I wouldn't listen to me about advice from fantasy football, and I wouldn't listen to advice from Jamie about fantasy football, because the three of us could play exactly 0 seconds of fantasy football.
Yeah.
If the experts are saying one thing, talk to the experts.
I will tell you, my daughter number 2 is very much into the fantasy football and has had a high degree of success. So if you're going to listen to anybody,
talk to her.
Talk to her. Talk to her. Right. Talk to her. I would have never told you to drop Harrison Butker if you'd have texted in and said, "Should I drop Harrison Butker as my kicker?" No, I would have said no. He's been money in the bank. But you didn't ask me that question. Okay.
I'd also say, as when I was playing fantasy football, I always had 2 kickers, so if one of them did get hurt with the possibility of them coming back, I could just use the other guy.
Okay.
Did you win a lot?
I did, actually. I was...
With 2 kickers on your roster?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I actually did really well when I played fantasy football because I took it way too seriously, which is why I don't play anymore.
Yeah. Paul says this, and I asked for this 2 hours ago, and so, Paul, I'm glad you're just now chiming in with us with regard to if anything positive happened over the weekend or the things you wanted to share, achievements of your family members or children or yourself. He said, "Good morning, gentlemen. My best of the week was watching Lubbock High ladies get first place in their swim meet here in town." Well, good. Congratulations.
Way to go.
Yeah, they've got quite the swim team over there. Mm-hmm. Somebody else says this, correct. Listen as in take advice. Listen as in take advice. All right, so what do you bake? And you can keep track of this. All you have to do is go to doubleTSportsNetwork.com. And our man, Rob Bro, is keeping track of this as best he can with the portal moves in and out of the Texas Tech football program. It seems like and feels like that you're getting guys that you want. Will these guys make good players, great players? Can they help take you to the next level? That is yet to be seen. I like the odds. I like the odds. Yeah, right. So you can keep track of what Rob is compiling and finding out. For instance, they got Skylar Gill Howard, who is going to be, he's like the 11th highest grade amongst defensive tackles in 2024. He has offers from LSU and Florida State. You get a commitment from Reggie Virgil. He's a Miami of Ohio wide receiver, 6'4", 190. You like those numbers. 41 receptions, 816 yards, 9 touchdowns. Apparently one of the top wide receivers in the portal with 1 year of eligibility remaining. So that's good. Mm-hmm. They've already put him in number 0. So, okay, that's good. You've gotten 3 different defensive backs. We know we needed help there. And so hopefully these guys can come in and help you as well. Feels like you've spent a lot of money, or somebody has.
Yeah, I mean, you're doing great things in the portal. That's awesome, because it feels like they're, as you would expect, you're going after need guys and need positions, I should say. Mm-hmm. And you're talking offensive lineman, defensive backfield has been really good so far in the portal, and you've added a wide receiver. We knew that you needed a veteran wide receiver, so I'll be anxious to see if you can add a veteran running back as well. But I know there's also defensive tackles in the mix that you're going after as well. So still more out there, but so far, man, it's been great.
And then looks like you're also going to add Will Jados. He's 6'8", 307. He's from Miami of Ohio. He has started, for the most part, at left tackle. I mean, God knows you need those too. I mean, you got to have the bigs up front, and probably going to just needs a little bit more help from the skill position standpoint. But defensive line and offensive line, edge rushers, all those. That's what this team has needed for quite some time.
No doubt.
So you hope that pays off. I mean, it'll be interesting too how quickly these guys can get in. Can they get in for the spring semester? Presumably so, and be here for spring football.
I would expect every one of them to be here for the spring.
And then making sure that you can gel as a team. I think the teams that are going to have the most success after you have this portal success is the teams whose coaches can put them all together and get them to gel as a team and play as a team, because certainly the money has been put out there, and now it's time for everybody to perform.
This has been the Morning Drive Podcast, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Check out our library of Double T 97.3 podcasts at doublet97.3.com.